Good morning, everyone. Good morning on this snowy morning. I'm really excited. It's my second time seeing snow in my life, so I'm really excited. I know it's nothing new for some of you, but I'm really excited. This morning, I'll be sharing a little bit about part of my story, and although it's my personal story, I hope that you can relate to it, however it makes sense to you and your own story. Learning another language, it's an adventure in itself. But learning another language in a country where it's not spoken, it's quite an adventure. When you don't have users of that language around, you need to get creative. And in the early 19s, in my native Chile, my creativity took me to read the bilingual English-Spanish dictionary every couple days. Of course, I also resorted to other methods, like listening to Aqua, and you might remember Barbie Girl. That was my first CD ever. And also to reading the US version of Club Nintendo magazine. But the dictionary, there was something fascinating about the dictionary that I couldn't find anywhere else. And it was just the amount of words that existed there, the amount of possibilities of things you could say in another language. I love words without vowel letters, like rhythm, and I love those with exotic letter combinations, like klutz. But above all, I love that knowing these words was like a secret treasure. No one else in my family could understand or speak English. So I guess this fascination I had with languages was somehow spread around in my veins since I was a kid, pumped by my young heartbeats. This treasure of knowledge became more and more valuable as I grew older. I don't know if you remember high school with a smile, if you have adventures and laughter and friends to remember. I sort of do. I cannot say my high school memories are cheerful because I was focused on surviving more than anything. Being sexually diverse in a school with other 5,000 boys, a school that was 200 years old, was not an easy scenario for me. The fear and shame of who I was left me with just one shield, and that was grades. During those years, knowledge meant good grades, and good grades meant respect. They could say anything about me, whatever they wanted, but they couldn't say that I wasn't smart. Who do you think my classmates turned to when they were about to fail English? I certainly enjoyed being seen, being needed. Knowing more than others came to justify my very presence at school. And it turned out to be my way out of ostracism, but also created a massive wall between who I really was and the way that people saw me. Now, what does that have to do with me being here today? It has everything to do. Because of the way circumstances played out during those years of my life, I saw education as a currency and as a commodity. You could get it, you could offer it, you could even sell it. And that's actually what I did with my private lessons for a long time. And I'm not sure I'm painting quite a nice portrait of myself here right now. But I did not see this relationship I had with power and education until much later, in my early 20s, when I took a TESOL course in Costa Rica. This course was led by who would also be one of my mentors at Marlboro, Professor Mary Scholl, who's back there. It was her, together with who today is my husband, Roger, and many other friends, who not just taught me, but showed me that education could be a tool for connection rather than a symbol of superiority. Going to Costa Rica to Professor Scholl's school was when I experienced learning in a different way, in a way I had never experienced before. A nurturing, life-enriching process. And sometime after this course, in 2011, I started to work officially as a teacher, and I hated it. Teaching somehow pushed me to look at myself in the mirror, to unveil who I was when I was in front of the classroom, to think why I had decided to become a teacher, and if I still wanted to be the main source of knowledge for my students. As Parker Palmer once said, the entanglements I experience in the classroom are often no more or less than the convolutions of my inner life. Viewed from this angle, teaching holds a mirror to the soul. Months and years passed, and working with students of English gradually took me back to what it means to learn, what it means to be vulnerable. I saw my students accepting they didn't know, and what's even harder, deciding they wanted to know. And even when I looked in that mirror, I saw the child who was excited about the dictionary again, who was curious about everything, and who didn't have to sacrifice who he was to be in this world. It was around this time when Marlboro came along as a great opportunity to continue exploring the revelations that I had in my practice as a teacher for almost 4 years. Yes, I needed theory to process what had happened to me in that period of time. But what I found here is a community that opened its arms and embraced me with warmth and affection. I had my own struggles here. For the first time, I was using English in the real world, and I couldn't go back to Spanish if I didn't understand somebody or I had a communication problem. But through this whole process, I felt completely supported, whether it was while learning more about neuroscience or barbecuing after a hard session of study hall. In my cohort, I found friends and their testimonies. In my professors, I found colleagues with their own passions and experiences. And in the people from this town, a type of kindness I could only dream of. And curiosity, lots of curiosity. And the courage to go back to the classroom with a renewed understanding of who I am and why I do what I do. But above all, with a resolved heart that now wants to include and celebrate diversity more than ever before. Thank you.